Okay, boys and girls, so today you watched a video of Mrs. Connor, and she was explaining what multiples are. And she was talking about how we were leaving factors, and now we're getting into multiples. So now that you know what a multiple is, basically we understand now that we're skip counting. We're looking now at question number 8. The directions are to write 5 multiples of each number. So in my brain, I'm thinking of my basic multiplication facts. If I have to write the next 5 multiples of 4, I'm thinking to myself, 4 times 1 is equal to 4. And then if we continue skip counting, or thinking in our brain 4 times 2, that would be 8. So now I have 2 multiples listed. The next one would be 4 times 3, which is 12. Now I can skip count by 8 or think, what is 4 times 4? And that is 16. And finally, the 5th multiple of 4, which is the same as 4 times 5, would be equal to 20. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 multiples of the number 4. Let's move on to number 10. Multiples of 5. We need to list the next 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 multiples. Well, skip counting by 5s is pretty easy, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25. You've identified the next 5 multiples of the number 5. Let's look at question number 12. They're not trying to trick you. They want to know the next 5 multiples of 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And yes, we include the first number, so 1 times 1 is equal to 1. And then the next multiple, if you're skip counting by 1s, wouldn't the next one be 2? And then 3, 4, and 5. This one's a little bit trickier. 5 multiples of 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to put number 5 right here. Well, 15 times 1 is 15. Now, if I skip count and add on another group of 15, I should have 30, and after that I would have 45. If I add on another group of 15, I will have 60. And finally, if I add on one more group of 15, I would have 75. And those are the next 5 multiples of the number 15. Now let's look at the directions for 16 and 18. The directions are asking us to tell whether the first number is a multiple of the second number. So if we look and zoom in on question 16, we can see that we have 2 numbers here, 25 and 5. What they're asking is, if we start at 5 and we skip count, will we eventually reach the number 25? I know many of you probably know this right away when you saw the problem, but if we want to skip count, we can. And we see that yes, we do arrive at 25. 25 is a multiple of 5. Let's look at the last example on this page, number 18. So if we skip count by 9s, will we eventually arrive at the multiple 54? So many of you are thinking now basic facts, meaning in your brain, you're asking yourself, is there a number that I can multiply by 9 that is equal to 54? Those of you that are studying your facts a lot, then you know that yes, there is. So 9 times 1 is 9, 9 times 2, 18, times 3, 27, times 4, 36, 9 times 5, 45. We're getting closer, but we're not there yet. What about 9 times 6? If we add on another group of 9, we would arrive at 54. So 9 times 6 is 54, therefore yes, 54 is a multiple of 9. So if you're wondering how you would answer these two, you would put yes and yes. Okay, we're going to turn the page and go to question number 19. Name all the numbers of which 45 is a multiple. So this is kind of a tricky way to word this. Name the numbers where you would have 45 as a multiple. Well, I know if I start at 1 and I continued skip counting by ones, I would eventually arrive at 45. So 1 and 45. Now, I know this trick where if I look at this number and it's even, then I know that 2 would go into the number evenly. But this number is not even, so 2 is not a multiple. Now, what about the number 3? Well, I actually remember from the previous page, I don't know if you recall this, when we were skip counting by 15, 1, 2, 3 groups of 15 was equivalent to 45. So now I can go back to this page and I know that if I skip count by 3s, I will eventually arrive at 45, and that is 3 times 15. Now I need to think, are there any other numbers in which 45 is a multiple? So does 4 go into 45? No, because it's not even. What about 5? If I were to skip count now by 5s, would I eventually arrive at 45? Yes, I do. So my next number that has 45 as a multiple is the number 5 and also the number 9. So here we have identified all the numbers in which 45 is a multiple. Moving right along. Number 20. Lindsay says all numbers that have multiples of 4 have 2 as a factor. Is she correct? Explain. Well, yes, she is correct. And why is that? Well, all multiples of 4 are even. And all even numbers have 2 as a factor. Meaning, if you have an even number that is a multiple of 4, it is also going to have the number 2 as a factor. Let me give you an example. The number 36. Well, if I skip count by 4s, I eventually arrive at 36. 4 times 9 is equal to 36. Now, we also want to know, is 2 a factor of 36? 36 is an even number because it ends in the number 6, so 2 is a factor of 36. You would multiply 2 times 18 to equal 36. Number 21, Trisha bought bags of tennis balls. There are 8 tennis balls in each bag. Could Trisha have 75 tennis balls? Explain. So right away, I'm thinking about multiples of 8. If I skip count by 8, well, I eventually get to 75. So let's just kind of fast forward and think in our brain what we know about the number 8. Well, we know that 8 times 10 is equal to 80. So if we know that, we could figure out 8 times 9, if we did not already know, is 72. It's just one less group of 8. So if we skip count and we have 72, and then 80 is our next multiple of 8, would we arrive at 75? No. And then our explanation would be that 75 is not a multiple of 8. Number 22. Jerry says that if a number is a multiple of 9, it is also a multiple of 3. So if a number is a multiple of 9, it is also a multiple of 3. Do you agree and explain? Well, yes, this is true because since 3 is a factor of 9, meaning you can multiply 3 times 3 to equal 9, any multiple of 9 will also be a multiple of 3. Okay, moving right along, we have 2 more. Describe how 20,000 and 2,000 are related. Well, what I noticed, this is kind of a review. If I were to rewrite these 2 numbers, one on top of the other, I can see that there's one additional 0, meaning it's moved over one place value. So I know that going back to probably week 2 of school, that 20,000 is 10 times greater than the number 2,000. Last one. Isabel wrote this mystery problem. Oh boy. The quotient, so the answer in a division problem, is a multiple of 6. The dividend is a multiple of 9. The divisor is a factor of 12. Write one possible equation to Isabel's mystery problem. Wow, that's really confusing. So what I'm thinking is, we know that the answer is a multiple of 6. So this is kind of fast forwarding. This question is giving you a preview to division. And we know that when we are dividing, we have the divisor, which is the number that's being divided, or the number of groups rather. And then we have the big number, which is the dividend. And then we have our quotient, which is the answer. So this is kind of like a flash forward. So we see here that the quotient is a multiple of 6. So this has to be a multiple of 6. The dividend is a multiple of 9. And then the divisor is a factor of 12. So thinking, what 2 numbers could you multiply to equal 12? This is really confusing. I hope that many of you did not stress out about this. I have a feeling maybe you did. However, it's a riddle. And what they're saying then is the dividend, the big number, is like we have 54 pieces of candy. And then we're going to, because 54 is a multiple of 9, divide by, what could be a divisor of 3? Well, that would be our divisor of 12, and that would be 3. And then our answer, which is a multiple of 6, would be 18. Now, do I expect you to really understand and know this problem yet? No. That one was kind of a tricky, like, give it a try problem. So that wraps up math for today, guys. Again, there's no meeting today. If you have any questions about this, just send me a message through Schoology, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.